don't be true. I just don't want this one to be true. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. Yes, it's live. Yes, I am late. Yes, it is Thursday evening, and I'm probably going to be on till Friday morning. But apparently, Real Betis and Manuel Pellegrini, who remembers him, West Ham's former manager, are sniffing around their old mate, Pablo Fornals. Pellegrini bought Pablo Fornals back in 2019 for around about 25 million quid from Villarreal. And we can't deny that Pablo Fornals has not been up to scratch over the last few seasons. And it's been no surprise that he's looking, not necessarily maybe looking for a room out, but he's going to want to make the best of his career that he can. And I think he's gave a really good account to himself at our club. And it's never necessarily been, the last couple of years haven't been the best couple of years for him at West Ham. But what he can go down for is providing us with some great, great individual memories. And for me personally, I've met the guy a lot. And he's been nothing but the most respectful player. Genuinely one of the nicest players that I've ever met. Honestly, I can't say that enough. And I'm talking like he's already gone. And he's not. But it's getting closer and closer and closer to me saying officially goodbye to Pablo Fornals. He'll always be welcome back at West Ham if he does go. 203 appearances for West Ham, 23 goals and 19 assists in that time. But the last couple of seasons, like I said, have been tough for him to get regular game time as West Ham keep progressing through the ranks and moving upwards and onwards and upwards, they say, isn't it? And it's funny because there's different ways of looking at this. Is it fair the way he's been treated, or is that just football? Is that just football? We were rumoured to be looking at getting rid of him, but his contract was running up at the end of the summer. We've taken the option to extend his contract, which means we've protected our asset and means we can sell the player for money. I mean, there's rumours saying that we're willing to sell him for around about 4 million quid, which I think is a steal if Betis and Sevilla are the two teams that are looking at get him. But Betis would be looking at trying to get him because obviously the man himself who brought him to the London Stadium, Manuel Pellegrini, is in charge of them. And apparently they've made a move in the market already for the 27-year-old former, not current, former Spanish international. And it could be reuniting with him for the second time. And for, like I said, Fornals has hardly featured for West Ham this season. 417 Premier League minutes to his name so far. And like I said, we've already triggered his 12-month extension, but it looks like we might get some form of fee for the player if he does go. And he has been an absolute shadow of himself over the last couple of years. But equally, though, that could be down to not being utilised the way that fans would have liked our squad to be utilised. Is that Pablo Fornals' fault? Has he stepped up when he's been asked to step up? Not necessarily. But again, players are confidence players, and I wonder if he is a confidence player. And I just really would struggle with this guy. Do you know what? What he's done is he's won over the hearts of many West Ham fans. He really, really has. He's learned the culture of what it's like to be in London. He's learned the history of West Ham. And before we found that information out, he gave away that impression that he would do it. He gave away the impression that he would be vital to new signings coming into the club and making them feel extremely welcome. And that was backed up when we'd done a couple of shows with a good friend of the channel, Jack Mate, who came on, who works with the club and does a lot of interviews and said he's really, really important to the, a few years ago in particular, to the back room of new players coming in. He was really vital, and he's multilingual. He speaks really good English. He gets West Ham. You know, he was up for a bit of banter. He would do the whole kind of, remember the video with Pie Mash Liquor and Jerry Deals and all that sort of stuff. Like the geezer just gets it. Like he gets it, goes around Victoria Park cycling on his bike, taking videos with Antonio, all having a bit of a laugh. And when he came to West Ham, he was predominantly an attacking midfielder, a creative midfielder. You know, you remember when we were linked to him before he came to the club, we thought we were getting this trickster. And that's what he did when he was at Villarreal. 96 games for Villarreal with 9 goals and 19 appearances. But obviously he's been at West Ham since 2019. And that's us going back 5 years. So he came when he was a young lad, 22. And he's grown into a proper man and made a very good career for himself. 203 appearances for West Ham, like I said, in all competitions. And in his first season at West Ham, he made 36 Premier League appearances, scoring 2 goals, 5 assists. So backed up what he was doing. Obviously, things weren't rosy for West Ham, but for the next consecutive seasons, he made regular appearances in the Premier League. And his best contribution season was the 21-22 season when he scored 6 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League. And he's gone through many changes with West Ham. He's seen many players come and go. And he's been, in my opinion, vital for some of the most memorable moments in a West Ham shirt, but nothing more than that goal against AZ Alkmaar. I mean, every single West Ham fan can always remember where they were, what they were doing, and the moment it was like slow motion when that ball was played through and it was Pablo against the keeper to cement our position in the final. It was an unbelievable moment. But for me personally, if he does go, will miss him, not just as a West Ham player, but just someone who embraced our club and just gave everything for the West Ham shirt. I'm aware. Listen, I'm also aware that you can love a player and like a player, but I'm very aware there's a time to move on, and I get that, and I get that with Pablo Fornals. I always feel in the back of my mind that if he got a little bit more regular time, he could play a proper squad player, but he might not want to be that squad player. And I think it's inevitable that he is going to. Of course, West Ham need to protect the asset and try and generate some form of income if he is going to go. But what he does is he'll go with a big pat on his back and a welcoming ticket back to the club at any moment, because he'll go down in history as one of those important players that progressed West Ham during the last 3 years. He really does. And for me personally, like I said, I've met him a few times. He's been really important to me, and the reason why is I'll bring this up and I'll show you why he was important to me and the family. You know, over several years of doing the channel, West Ham brought themselves over to St Andrews in Scotland and done their training camp in the summer. And as you can see from this picture, 3 of those children in that picture are my kids, and the 2 boys on the outside are my nephews. But Pablo had just had his own little baby and seen me with Joey and was just obsessed. Came over, asked to hold him, and him and Manuel Lanzini were just honestly next level. They made the experience for my children absolutely special. You don't get players like that these days. You really don't get players like that these days. They're kept away from fans, but they made the effort to make me and my family feel welcome. And that is really important as a player, but important to our club to understand that we've got people like that they're being looked after, they're being trained, they understand what it means to be a West Ham fan. You know, his interview when he sings West Ham are massive, you know, getting behind the team at any moment when he's injured and not playing, and even when he's on the bench supporting the team as a fan. You can't deny that Pablo Fornals has supported this team as a fan. I'm not calling him absolutely not calling him a legend. What's the word I'm looking for? Not an urban legend, a kind of Craig Dawson level type player. And, you know, just will go down for me as a really important player, a player I'll never forget in a West Ham shirt. Not just because I met him and he was extremely amazing and all that, just in general, becoming that all-round good guy and supports the club. Like, you can see he supports West Ham, and he'll always will do. And I'm happy for him if he does get his move and he goes and makes another career for himself. Because I'm telling you now, when he goes, cult hero, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you so much, mate. I was looking for that. He's an absolute cult hero. And He is a cult hero. I was thinking, like, how do I title this show? How do I title it? I was like, oh, the band aren't getting back together again. Just jesting about that image that Pablo Fornals and Jesse Lingard were involved in when we had that moment during COVID. But they create moments, and we need to remember that where West Ham have the trajectory has gone to where it's gone at West Ham. Part of the reason our trajectory has gone that way is because the players who maybe haven't played so much now helped us get to that position. That's why cult hero status goes down for Craig Dawson, and that's why cult hero status will go down for Pablo Fornals, because they were important for getting us to where we got to and where we are right now. And no matter what you think of the situation, you can't ever deny that the last 3 seasons have been, or 4 seasons, in terms of looking at where West Ham are in the league and in European competition year in and year out, vital. And part of the reason for that is because he has been part of that journey and being a really, really good squad player as well. And I am happy for him. And if he does go and get his move, I am happy for him. But I am also gutted to see him go, and never probably got to see the full best creative player that he's been. Disappointed to a certain extent that he's not stepped up when his opportunity was given to him. But equally, though, I don't necessarily blame him, because we played play in a certain way, and that way we play now is gone beyond Pablo Fornals. And at certain points, we're going to have to say goodbye to these cult heroes, and at certain points, we're going to have to move on. We've done it with other players, we've done it through our whole careers, but in more recent years, we've done it with Craig Dawson's, and we're now potentially going to be doing it with Pablo Fornals. But he's just one of those favourite players, isn't he? He sits at the tip of the tongue of every West Ham fan. We always talk about him. We always remember the good times. And yeah, there's an element of that I feel sorry for him, but it's the right time. It is the right time for him to move on. Like I said, he'll always be welcome. And there's more players that we're looking at potentially moving on as well. But I think this one cuts deeper. This one cuts deeper than the other couple of players that have left, and I'll come on to the comments in a second, than the others. Will always have claret and blue in his veins, 100%. And listen, like I said, this is all rumours that are linked, and it's looking likely that come near the end of the window that he could be looking to leave the club. And if the right offer comes in, and going back to Spain with his family and making a career for himself and trying to push into the national team, then so be it. And that's what he's going to go and do, 100%. It is brilliant, that picture. I love it. I love it, mate. Like, I can't begin to tell you. And what was even funny about it was that my wife was there, and they just finished the training session, and I felt really guilty at the training session because I was holding my son and newborn baby, and Pablo really looked like he couldn't concentrate because he kept staring over at the sun, and he was talking to me as they were training. He was like, how old is he? How old is he? And I was telling him, and as if and then he was telling me about his baby as if I didn't know, but I followed him, so I knew the story about his baby. And he just made that effort. And it was clarified to us that he did that at the club. So that's what's important. It's not that he just did that with fans. He did it at the club. And I love that. I love that about the player. He will always be a hammer for life, 1,000,000%. And I hope he's treated well. I hope he's been treated well behind the scenes. I hope he's looked after, been looked after. And I hope he gets what he wants and what he needs in his career, and that's going to be regular game time. Great picture, him and Mano is. Pablo will always be welcome back, like family, 100%. Anthony, 1,000,000%. A magician, a good player, very good player. Do you know what? Again, feel sorry for him, because I think there was times there was times in this team that when he played with, he really sparked up sometimes a relationship with Paqueta. And I think that could have happened. And I suppose in theory, if we didn't just have the main 11 that we play with, I think if Pablo Fornals was given more minutes, we may see a more vibrant Pablo. But it was like he was trying too hard, that it just didn't work in the team and hasn't been working in the team for him. So I don't think we can put all the blame on one person in terms of David Moyes. It's got to be blame throughout the whole situation, the way it's kind of ended up for him. But equally, teams move on. One of the downsides to what West Ham have done over the last few years is our turnover of players is really low. In actual fact, I've mentioned this in a previous video, we're second in turnover of players since David Moyes' second stint with us. The club ahead of us is Crystal Palace by like 1 or 2 players, but the rest of the teams who are behind us are quite dramatically ahead of us in terms of player turnover, and you talk a lot about player turnover in squads, and you need that player turnover, but we don't have that. I think in the whole stint of David Moyes being here, I don't have the exact number on me, but it's roughly like 65 players in, 65 players out. But you've got other clubs that are 110 players in and 110s out. And what you've got is refreshing the squad constantly. And one of the downsides you could say about the David Moyes era, not that I'm slagging it off because I'm not saying I'm Moyes in, I'm not Moyes out. I'm just saying one of the downsides is the fluctuation and change in using and utilising the second string team. And unfortunately for Pablo, he's been an example of that. He'll be missed like Lanzini, but time is right for him and Benrahma to move on. All will be missed and gave us memories 100%. I just think, as much as I'll thank Benrahma, the Pablo one cuts deeper. It does for me. It cuts deeper. I remember that Scorpion goal. What a goal. What a goal. He's got the moments the guy's given us individually, personally, and for the club and entertainment as well, entertainment value. But I just love players that love the understand the culture, all that sort of stuff. The problem for Fornals was, of course, Moyes. It is simple. Moyes plays him out of position. What on earth is defensive winger? Only in Moyes' world. But yeah, I know. But equally, we will have to move on, and we are looking like we'll move on with this player. Kieran's in the house. Good to see you, mate, and hope you enjoyed the Old School Hammers last night. If you haven't, go back and check the content out. Always be a favourite of mine and many others, 100,000,000%. I'm straight, but as a man, he is. He's just a lovely guy. And if and when, I feel like I'm going to say when he leaves West Ham, it will be a sad day, but mixed emotions day. I'll be happy for him. And it might, do you know what? It might not actually happen this January window. Because, like I said, if you're just joining me, Real Betis are showing strong interest in bringing him in. They will have to try and battle Sevilla, apparently, for the signature. And we just have to wait and see. I thought he looked reasonably settled in London, but I think there's no ifs or buts about it. And let's not underestimate the weather difference as well. But we will see. Very, very popular player amongst the fans and the players. So disappointing to see Pablo go if he does go, but who knows? Anyway, it's a short and sweet live one for you. There's plenty of you watching. If you want to put some comments in before I go, then do it. Tomorrow morning, you'll see a lot of cool content coming out from none other than Miss Holly. So she's back after having a baby. So make sure you tune in as well. We'll have plenty of content, and I'm assuming we'll be announcing a new player. It's pretty close, or has been done. It's just the announcement that's going to be coming out. So we're going to be telling you the breaking news when it happens. It's not. It has happened. It's just when they announce it. So we'll come to you live and dissect the Calvin Phillips deal a little bit more. But I think moving Fornals on, bringing in some money, moving Benrahma on and bringing some money means that West Ham can reinvest into the squad where necessary. And let's not forget that we are close to FFP things as well. So we need to be very careful. So moving players on is key. Is definitely key. Pablo Fornals, he's the greatest guy in history from the town of El Spain. He's always have a home with me. There you go. And if he hadn't scored that semi-final solo goal, we might not get to the final. I've got to the final. You're right. You are absolutely bang on, mate. Bang on. So there you go. Short and sweet one. I'm going to go to bed. Hopefully wake up in the morning and we get some better news that Calvin Phillips officially signed and West Ham are moving on targets. And Pablo Fornals signs a new long-term contract with West Ham because I'm selfish and I like him. But it's not going to happen. So when he does and when he goes, then I wish him all the best, of course. Anyway, thank you for watching. Short and sweet one. Join us in the morning for more content. I hope you've been enjoying it. We've got loads of exciting stuff coming your way. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, then look at that option as well. Take it easy, everyone. Have a good night, and I will probably see you over the next couple of days. Come on, you wonderful irons. Pablo, please don't go. Don't go. Do you know what? Yeah, I see it. not in terms of the playing ability, just of his personality around the club. So yeah, no, I see it. Take it easy, everyone. Come on, your hands.